This is the Trade Exchange webinar on information and its impact on volatility. And we'll get there. It will go through slide by slide. And any questions, certainly feel free to, the proverbial raise your hand, or let us know if you want us to pause just for a moment to discuss anything specific. We do also have some analysts on hand, so if there's any specific questions you folks want to ask, certainly feel free to do so. So let's continue. So what will you learn in this webinar? It's on news and how it impacts volatility. Our overall service philosophy and the value that you receive, the importance of due diligence process is a major part of your trading routine. Understand different news items and how they impact price, action, and volume. And of course, actionable information and alerts that our analysts provide to you. And really how to use and incorporate everything from the Trade Exchange, including the TX Market Stream and the TX Daily Analytics in your daily research. And of course, how to trade better and more efficiently. And I did, as we go through this presentation, I did want to thank our amazing staff for putting all of these slides together. What an incredible job they do here. So when we talk about news and volatility, and one of the main things that pop in and really is critical is the sources behind the information and what actually happens with this information. And the reality is it's how it's the impact on the stock, obviously, and certainly on options as well. But it's impact on price, action, and volume. That's really the at the nexus of all of this. So when we think of traditional sources, we think of CNBC, we think of CNN, Bloomberg, Reuters, Dow Jones, various other traditional sources of information, of news, that's available to the marketplace. And we also consider other news sources, other media sources, including social media, forums, chats, and other non-traditional sources. So, and what is actionable, right? What is actionable? What is news based on? So actionable information is based on a number of different things that the Trade Exchange provides consistently. One is certainly SEC and company filings, insider transactions, options plays, desk chatter, earnings, social media-based information, technical levels. We'll get into specific news items here, and we'll get into them. And certainly, again, any questions pop in. So, three main questions that we know that traders ask consistently. One is on any given item that comes through, whether it's from the Trade Exchange or maybe other sources. Why should I care? Why should I care of this information? What's the impact? What impact will the news have on the stock that I am trading? And why is this information important? So that's really the most important question on every trader's mind. These three top questions, and we'll get into them. It's pieces of the puzzle, folks. So the overriding reason for the inflection on news, and this is at the apex of it all. It's market participants, traders, analysts, economists understand the market landscape is always changing. So it's not one day is the same. That's why we pay attention, and market participants pay attention to all this information, because things can change on a dime. Stocks move for a reason, and behind it all, what's the reason? Why is it moving? What's the information behind this particular move? And that's what we're concentrating on. Okay, so one of the main things that certainly we're coming toward the tail end of earnings. But earnings is a big deal, folks, right? So whether you're watching pre-market, whether you're watching after hours trading, and yes, there are some uh, not as much earnings presented during trading hours, but certainly pre-market hours and after hours trading is where you get this this barrage of information from earnings. So what do traders look for? They look for they look for uh, they look at the earnings specifically information. They look at earnings per share. They look at revenues compared to analyst projections. So that's the first thing. That's almost if you think of like headline numbers, typically they're released and they look at and that's where you see in the trade exchange EPS actual versus estimated and revenues actual versus estimated. Yep, exactly. And so that's really critical and that's the absolute very first thing that traders look for when they compare uh, headline numbers, if you will. So keeping this in mind when earnings are released, if it's pre-market, if it's after hours, remember there's less traders around and extended hours trading. There's so volatility can increase. There's less participants, increased spreads, and lower volume, quote unquote, on the average. Um, and of course, when you have your bigger names, you have your Teslas, you have your Google, you have, really large tech names or heavy traded names, heavily held names, your GEs of the world. Certainly, the larger traders are available for the earnings information and they react to it. Okay. And here's an example of how it looks and what you see in in the forum and what you hear in the squawk. So, for example, FIT, Fitbit, obviously non-GAAP earnings per share misses estimates, coming in at 56 cents versus the 50 cents, and revenue coming in at 573.78 million versus the 578.04 million expected. So obviously missing on revenue, and what you're looking for is is there a gap up, gap down? What is that initial response? What's that initial volume in the name? What's that initial move? What's that kind of knee-jerk reaction, if you will, in that extended hours trading? And traders look for that on that initial move, whether they're participating in that particular move or perhaps they're looking for kind of a reversal, if you will, quote unquote. There is a question: is there a halt sometimes? Yeah, absolutely. Depending on depending on the move developing, depending on volatility. So certainly, sometimes there's a halt before the release of the information. So again, it just depends on the situation on the particular release. But yeah, it's certainly it's an important piece there. So again, we're looking for responses. A little bit of follow up on earnings, and Zozo really mentioned, that's a great mention from Zozo, and that is the guidance. So we talked about the headline number and that kind of knee jerk reaction when that number comes out, and the reaction in stocks, and what traders look for in addition to that is the guidance. We saw a number of things this afternoon after the close in terms of guidance from HLF. And this is where obviously the information comes out to the general market and then I don't want to say hidden in the nooks and crannies of the report, but really it's in there. It's in the meat and potatoes of meat and potatoes of the report, and that's where the company comes out and says, "Hey, listen, obviously earnings per share and revenue was in the past, right? And but what they're looking for is, hey, we're going to offer a range of earnings per share and a range of revenues going forward." And traders, market participants, analysts, economists really look for that for a more into the future move, and that's why sometimes you see kind of a unique move in the actual name, and that is, for example, maybe they'll beat on earnings per share and revenue, but maybe they guided lower, and actually you see kind of a reaction to that guidance lower where the stock is actually lower, whether it's in pre-market or after hours, and you actually see that coming through. So that's kind of an important. They're predicting the future. You're basically you're getting a little bit of a window in from the CFO, from the financial information from the company on the future, which is um, kind of a great way to look at it. So, and again, we always look for, obviously you have that knee-jerk reaction in earnings per share and revenue, and then you have that reaction towards the guidance. And that's almost, I don't want to say more important, but it's equally important where analysts thought the guidance would be, where analysts thought where the actual EPS, earnings per share, revenue is, and where it's going, and that's really, really critical. Okay. Um, and so the other, in addition to earnings, so if there's any, um, and that's a great point, DB, in terms of guidance. It really depends on the name. It depends on the situation. It depends on almost kind of like the amount of participants that are around for that guidance. But yeah, guidance is critical, folks, and that's why it's imperative to see that. Yeah, and merely in terms of block options of options, yeah, a lot of times in anticipation of earnings announcements, one of the things that you will see in the trade exchange specifically, where there is this unique kind of buildup in let's call them bets or binary bets, if you will. Whether they're wrong or right. In anticipation of those earnings announcements, it could be weekly options. And so I think that's really important. I think that's a great point, really, and our analysts are answering your questions as we go through this. So certainly, thank you for your questions. The other things that we wanted to discuss in this presentation is press releases. So this is part of that news package of information that traders look for on a daily basis. And if you've been around for any length of time, whether you're relatively new to trading or maybe you've been around for decades, you know that press releases have a massive impact on stocks. And as you know, there are just literally thousands of press releases per day. And we at the Trade Exchange, our analyst desk, we make a valiant effort into really getting into the nooks and crannies of which press releases are most pertinent to know during the day. In the morning, of course, you have some. There's information on Inform and Squawk and our daily analytics. Certainly, we'll get into that in a little bit, but it's vital information that is produced by the company. So the company goes out into these kind of global news release organization, and releases information. It's the information that the company deems pertinent enough, important enough to release to the general public, not just the investment public, but into the general public. It's a press release, so it's out there in the ether, and how traders respond to this is really critical. So one of the things that traders look for through these press releases is A, is it vital to the company, right? Is this information, what kind of information, and for example, is it a biotech, right? We see a lot of press releases specifically in the morning, through the 6 o'clock hour, 7 o'clock hour, 8 o'clock hour, in Eastern time in the mornings, of this information for biotech. There's massive, whether they met endpoints, and these are really critical information because, folks, these are especially, excuse me, these are, rather, on the whole, smaller companies, and they're putting a lot of weight into a lot of this research. And whether it's phase 1, phase 2, phase 3 trials, whether they're meeting endpoints or not meeting endpoints, this is absolutely critical information that every single analyst look for. If they're a biotechnology analyst, whether it's sell side analyst or buy side firms, they look at this information. It's absolutely critical for them to monitor this and to assess whether it's important or not. For example, in biotech, does the information impact product development? So clearly, if they didn't meet primary endpoint, if let's say they had some information from the FDA in a particular name that didn't satisfy particular a nuance of the research, folks, that's a massive bit of information that's clearly going to at least impact for the short term and how traders see this. Okay. Also, is the information on a biotechnology or a social media company? Maybe it's a Twitter headline, press release. Will it impact user growth and competitive advantage? A perfect example, a large example, certainly, we've all seen this information on Yahoo and Verizon when information came out of the data breach. I mean, that really impacted overall kind of perception on the company, certainly with Verizon and Yahoo in the deal. And you see it. There was a legitimate impact on that, where it resulted from a $350 million adjustment in the deal, and so clearly it makes an impact. Also, if it's an energy company, how does the information impact the functionality of the company? Folks, these are all press releases that are meant to provide color. And the reason is that traders monitor this type of information consistently because they know it has a potential impact on volume, has a potential impact on price action, and that's why we provide it, and it's absolutely critical. Okay, so one example is from yesterday on XL Group announces retirement of Peter Perino as Chief Financial Officer. Stephen Robb, Group Controller, appointed as successor. We see a lot of this in press releases where there's a shift or transition of upper level management, C-suite. And really, what's the impact? What's the market response? We look for that. Is it muted? Is it a muted response? Both for the short term and the long term. Is there interest in terms of volume? You want to look for volume consistently in terms of reaction. Do you see a tick up in volume? If not, okay, so it's a little bit more initial muted response. What is the response in the price action? It tick up or tick down, and that's something that is really really important. So a great question, Maggie, in terms of we have our proprietary algos in place that we monitor among our kind of lab and our own analyst desk, that they oversee this type of information, and provide you actionable information. So again, it's more on the proprietary. Uh, um, and again, there's a tremendous amount of experience that goes into this. And thanks, you have commentary from our analyst desk, a huge amount of experience. We have decades and decades of experience on the analyst desk, and again, it goes into the entire kind of mechanism of delivering this information to you. So one of the main things, there's a number of ways of getting this information, right? Certainly, you have your forum, you have your Squawk Audio. You can do research in the market stream. If you're not daily and every morning and every evening reading your daily analytics, you really should, folks. It's a great way to start the mornings. It's a wonderful way to just to get ready. Hey, listen, maybe you're running a little bit late and getting to your desk, um, and it's a great way. It's a great read. It's a number of pages long. The morning mashup, a couple of pages long on the market wrap up, and a great way to start the day. One of the things that we're beginning to introduce, it's currently in it's in beta, kind of a beta active mode, is the TX News Desk. And we're starting to bring people um, into the news desk. And if you are interested in trying out the beta, definitely reach out to us via email, and we'll provide that email for you in this presentation. And we will, again, this is something that we're very excited about, and this is kind of where we're heading with how we provide this information. So again, very cool things that are happening. So definitely, if you're not getting the daily analytics, you should. It's something that's absolutely critical, and again, really a great read. Okay. And if you haven't had the opportunity, all of our information is, you should definitely check out um, our mobile app, folks. We're available on iOS. We're available on Google Play. Everything that you can basically access from the desktop, you can access from the mobile app. And that's something that's really important. If you're on the go, if you happen just to check in, see how things are going in the marketplace, maybe you're on the go, and just want to check out what's happening with the TradeXchange, what type of information. It's a great way to do it, and it's very what we've been told. It's a nice app, nice presentation, and there are some built-in charts. There's some currency calculators. So again, some nice goodies there for you, and it is a free app. So definitely definitely check it out. So folks, as we conclude, I want to open this up for questions. You can contact us at the TradeXchange, at TradeXchange.com. Our number here is 203-939 203-939-1250. Only after hours, JF. I still rehearsing. Exactly. So definitely, folks, let's open this up for questions. We love questions. We love feedback. We're always pushing and pushing to get information better, and so folks, let's open it up a little bit. I'll give it some time and see what kind of questions you have for us. Sure, absolutely. So what kind of app do you have, Ryan? What kind of phone do you have? iPhone or Android? iPhone, perfect. So go to your app store and just type in TradeXchange. Remember, one E in the middle, TradeXchange. Mobile app, MOBILE app. And you should see there, it's already there for download. We actually We're working on our new release as we speak. 1.5, I think you have 1.4 there. So definitely take a look there. And any issues, certainly feel free to reach out to us. Any other questions, folks? We'll give it some time. Absolutely. No, absolutely. So a great question. So uh, you probably have seen some of our you've seen some of our new videos on social media, and folks, definitely, if you haven't been following us on Facebook and Instagram, definitely do it. So Shayna is part of our team, and absolutely, you will be seeing her more and more on social media. So thanks. I know, absolutely. So. Yeah, absolutely. So we'll definitely work with you on getting your squawk to work. In terms of, I know Omnovia has had a little bit of a technical, some technical stuff going on, but again, we'll get you through it, and no worries. Wonderful. Any other questions? Great, absolutely. We'll be available for you. So we'll give it a few more minutes if as we're waiting some more questions. Absolutely. Thank you. Occasionally, JF, occasionally. She does sing occasionally. So definitely, we are taking requests. Absolutely. Yeah, we all, yes, we all sing at the Trade Exchange. When the cameras are off and no mics, exactly. And Jude, anytime. We're always here to help at any time. Thank you. So remember, I think something that's really critical here. The trade exchange itself, we don't, as you know, we've mentioned this before. We don't trade. The trade exchange does not trade. So in terms of um, positioning your trades, it's again, you want to do your analysis, obviously, and make sure you track kind of your thought process behind every trade. But again, we don't trade. Our main obligation, because we're non-biased, we our objective is to provide this information in as timely manner as humanly possible. So I think in terms of how you kind of conduct your day on a daily basis, um, you definitely want to, right now, if you're in the forum, certainly if you're open to the beta test, certainly our news desk will be glad to bring you in as a beta. Um, Absolutely. In terms of forum, that's where you get your real-time information. Certainly, you have the squawk, you have your daily analytics, and that's something that And again, so that's something, those are your primary sources of information in terms of, again, your daily analytics, your form, your squawk. You can do your research in the market market stream. In terms of buybacks, again, we can certainly discuss buybacks. There's a lot of thought and theories behind buybacks and why people, why firms do them, especially as of late. In terms of, there's there's a lot of thesis around and hypotheses around financial engineering and how firms, the reason behind the buybacks, whether it's in terms of an opportunity for prices, or certainly for financial engineering purposes, but absolutely. So but that's something that we will absolutely bring up in terms of buybacks in future webinars. That's an awesome suggestion. Thank you very much. Yes, thank you, Zozo. So yeah, we've been publishing rather rampantly on YouTube these short little clips of educational videos. They're literally about anywhere from 45 seconds to about a minute 15 seconds long. Just really quick explanations of what certain things are, whether it's an option call, or what is the Nikkei, or what is kind of an FOMC meeting announcements or FOMC minutes. And we will be coming out with thank you to Zozo for that post, and we will be coming out with a page on our website. Make sure you folks are aware of that. Again, it's just going to be a nice repository of various kind of short videos, if you will, on various topics in the market. It can be stock specific, like analysis, or perhaps there's information on a particular index, or what is the DXY or something. Again, it's a good, if you have some time, really quick. As a matter of fact, I'm actually going to post right now a link that's already on our website. It's under the EDU section, and this is a playlist of all. I think it's 102 videos, if I'm not mistaken, right on our website. I'm going to post it right in here. That right there. So if you click on that, it literally loops 102 videos. Again, all very short videos. You can pick up where you left off, type of thing. It's just a simple playlist. And again, a great little reminder if there's some a great little reminder in terms of what kind of information we provide on a daily basis. So we'll give it a few more minutes for questions. So yeah, so we can, if you, I'm going to scroll back a little bit here to kind of get into what we, again, these are just, in this particular slide, again, you're looking for information that could be an impact to the overall business model, right? And that's the type of information you provide. In terms of biotechs, you see information. Did the company meet its primary endpoint? Is there something, was there a decision from the FDA? Is there, it could be as simple as perhaps there's a lawsuit, perhaps or a company is responding to something. Maybe during the day there was, I don't know, let's call it chatter in the name, and how does so a company may issue a press release, very simply responding to that particular chatter. Chatter we'll talk about at another time, but again, press releases can almost a company's way of in defense of something, or anything that the company deems vital for the general public to know, the general investing public to know about the company. So I think that's a really good question. But here I think you have kind of five main questions, if you will, of it doesn't have to be, even if it's an energy company, it doesn't have to be the specific question, but you want to ask yourself that type of question when you're kind of when you're looking at these type of press releases. We did want to, I hope that answers your question, Maggie. And certainly, any specifics, you can always reach out to us directly at the number. We'll post that again. Um, and we'll do that. So one of the things I wanted to bring up is that we are um, wonderful. Um, Yes, absolutely. That's a great point, Eric. We'll certainly do that in terms of the links. I think that's a great point. We are going to be at the New York City Trader Expo. It starts on Sunday evening. It goes through Monday and Tuesday. Will be kind of on premises. So um, if you are um, in the area, certainly look us up, certainly email us or reach out to us by social media. We'll certainly be on social media those days, letting kind of, it will be at the Marriott Marquis. So definitely if you're in the area, we'll be more than glad to uh, see you, meet you, and face to face. We always love doing that. As we're growing, it's important for us to meet our clients and people we speak with on a daily basis. Absolutely, some good points, folks, in here as well. Absolutely, conference calls. Absolutely, one of the things that we do post in the Trade Exchange is the timing of the conference calls. It's important if you're interested in the company as an investor, as a trader, certainly you want to be aware of the conference calls when they are. It's a great way to listen in to what the CFO, CEO are discussing and the types of questions the analysts are asking CEOs of their company. And I think that's a great point in being aware. I mean, these are public companies. They're required to have conference calls. And if you're interested in the company, you should absolutely be, being take a look at those, listen in to those conference calls and see what types of questions are being asked. Absolutely, that's a great point. So, folks, I think as we're getting into the 5:30 time, if there are no other questions, we'll give it again a few more minutes and we'll start to wrap up. We'd like to thank everyone for joining us. As always, a pleasure to do this. We'll do more of these, as you can tell. We'll probably do once a month webinars. We'll do a survey as well um, going forward in terms of our webinar and what you thought. Again, please be candid in your surveys. We always like to know how we're doing in terms of quality of presentation and answering questions and so forth. So again, forgive us for being slightly delayed today, but we want to make sure everything look very nice for you. So folks, I think as we're starting to wrap up, we'd like to thank everyone for joining us. If there are any further questions, you can always email us. We love hearing from you. Absolutely, and we really enjoy providing this information for you on a daily basis. Absolutely. So, folks, thanks for joining us. This has been the Trade Exchange news and how it impacts volatility. We'd like to wish everyone a very pleasant evening, folks. Take care.